It was a quiet evening in New York when Keanu Reeves stepped out of the small coffee shop on the corner of 7th Avenue. He liked places like this, hidden from flashing cameras and noisy crowds. He had been sitting alone near the window for almost 2 hours, lost in thought. He had come here to clear his mind, but that night, fate had other plans for him. As he walked along the dimly lit sidewalk, the streetlights flickered above his head. He pulled his coat tighter around his shoulders. He had no idea that just a few steps ahead, something was about to touch him in a way that no film script ever could. Near the bus stop, under the shadow of an old oak tree, he saw a man sitting on the cold pavement. The man's head was buried in his hands. Next to him was a small, worn-out bag that he clutched tightly, as if it were the last thing keeping him together. Keanu stopped. He wasn't sure why. Maybe it was the way the man's shoulders shook with silent sobs. Maybe it was the sound of pain that seemed to fill the space between them. Even though the man said nothing, Keanu looked around. The street was empty, the traffic a dull hum in the distance. He could have kept walking, blending back into his quiet, private world, but something inside him told him he couldn't. He stepped closer. The man did not look up. Keanu could now see that his shoes were torn, his coat too thin for the biting winter wind. The bag he held was old, its zipper half broken. The man's fingers, cracked and rough, gripped the bag so hard his knuckles turned white. "Hey," Keanu said softly. "Are you okay?" The man lifted his head slowly. His eyes were red, his cheeks wet with tears. He was a black man, maybe in his mid-30s. His gaze met Keanu's, and for a moment, it was as if time froze. Keanu felt a sharp tug in his chest. The pain in this stranger's eyes was something deep, raw, and old. "I'm sorry," the man whispered. "I didn't mean to bother you." "You're not bothering me," Keanu said, sitting down on the pavement beside him without thinking twice. The cold concrete sent a chill through his bones, but he didn't care. "What happened? Can I help you?" The man looked down at the bag again, his hands trembling. He didn't speak for a long time. Keanu waited. He had learned in life that sometimes silence was louder than words. He watched the man's chest rise and fall with each heavy breath. He could almost hear the battle raging inside him, to speak or to stay silent, to trust or to keep the truth buried deep. Finally, the man let out a shaky sigh. "My name is Jerome," he said. "This bag, it's all I have left." Keanu frowned gently. "What's in the bag?" Jerome hugged the bag closer, like a child afraid of losing his favorite toy. "Memories," he said. "And hope, maybe." Keanu felt a lump in his throat. This wasn't just about a bag. This was about a life that had been broken, piece by piece, until only this small bundle of memories remained. He didn't push Jerome for more. Instead, he said, "Do you want to tell me about it?" Jerome hesitated, then nodded slowly. He looked out at the street, as if searching for something far away, something he had lost long ago. "I used to have a job," Jerome began, his voice low and rough. "I worked at a warehouse, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. It wasn't much, but it paid the bills. I had a small apartment, nothing fancy, but it was mine. Then one day, the company shut down. Just like that. They didn't even give us our last paychecks." Keanu listened, every word sinking into him like cold rain. "I tried to find other work," Jerome continued, his eyes distant. "But it was hard. No one wanted to hire someone like me. My rent fell behind. Then they kicked me out. I tried to stay with friends, but you can only sleep on someone's couch for so long before you feel like you're in the way." Keanu could feel the weight of Jerome's words pressing on his own heart. He knew the world could be cruel. He had seen it. He had felt it. But hearing it in Jerome's voice made it real in a way that no movie ever could. "And the bag?" Keanu asked gently. Jerome opened the bag just a little, enough for Keanu to see old photos. A child's drawing, a small teddy bear missing one eye. "My son," Jerome said, his voice breaking. "He would have been 5 this year. He and his mama, they were my whole world. But when I lost my job, I lost them too." She said she couldn't live like that, always worrying, always moving. She took him and went back to her parents. Jerome wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "This bag, It's all I have left of him. Pictures he drew, his favorite toy. I hold it when it hurts too much. Keanu felt something deep inside him crack open. He wanted to reach out and take some of that pain away. But he knew he couldn't. Instead, he did the only thing he could. He placed his hand on Jerem's shoulder and squeezed it gently. "I'm so sorry," Keanu said. "No one should go through this alone." Jerome looked at him, and for the first time, there was a flicker of warmth in his tired eyes. "Why are you doing this?" Jerome asked, almost in disbelief. "You don't even know me." Keanu smiled faintly. "Maybe we all need someone to sit with us when the night feels too heavy." They sat there for a long time, two strangers, bound together by the simple truth that sometimes the world breaks people in ways they can't fix alone. The cold wind blew around them, but for that moment, it couldn't touch them. In that dark corner of the city, Keanu Reeves, the man who had played heroes on the big screen, chose to be one in real life. He didn't know yet that this small act of kindness would lead him down a path that would test everything he believed about life, about people, and about what it really means to stand up for someone when no one else will. What Keanu didn't know was that the truth behind Jerem's story was much deeper than just a bag of memories. The truth was going to change him forever. The next few days would pull him into a world of secrets, betrayal, and a kind of courage he had never needed before. And it all started with a broken man, a bag full of hope, and a choice to sit down and listen. The next morning, Keanu woke up earlier than usual. The conversation with Jerome had stayed with him all night. He had lain awake in his hotel room, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word Jerome had said. He wondered where Jerome had gone after they parted ways. He had offered him money, but Jerome had refused. He had just clutched his bag and said, "Thank you for listening," before disappearing into the night. Keanu couldn't shake the image of Jerome sitting alone under that old oak tree. He knew he couldn't just forget and move on with his life. Something deep inside him told him that Jerome needed more than a few kind words. He needed someone to stand by him. Keanu pulled on his warmest coat, grabbed a few protein bars from the minibar, and walked back to the bus stop. The city was waking up. The morning rush had already begun. People moved past him, eyes down, voices low, as if everyone was trapped in their own problems. He reached the tree where he had first seen Jerome, but the spot was empty. There was no sign of him, not even a trace that he had been there at all. Keanu sat down on the bench nearby. He waited for what felt like hours. He watched buses come and go, people get on and off, but Jerome didn't appear. He looked at every face, hoping to see that same tired smile, that same spark of trust he had seen last night. But it was as if Jerome had vanished into thin air. Keanu was about to give up when an older woman sat next to him. She wore a faded purple coat and carried two large grocery bags. She looked at him curiously. Then at the empty spot under the tree. "You looking for someone?" she asked. Keanu turned to her, surprised. "Did you see a man here last night?" "A black man, about 35, with a small bag." The woman nodded slowly. "Oh, Jerome. Yes, I see him sometimes. He doesn't bother nobody. Just sits there with that old bag of his. Poor soul. Do you know where he went?" Keanu asked, hope rising in his chest. She shook her head. "Nobody really knows where he goes. Sometimes he sleeps behind the old library down the street, sometimes near the church shelter, but he doesn't like staying long. Says people steal from him when he sleeps." Keanu felt a pang in his heart. "Thank you," he said. "Can you tell me where the library is?" She pointed down the block, gave him a kind smile, and wished him luck. Keanu jogged towards the library, his breath visible in the cold air. He found the alley behind the building. There, hidden between a dumpster and a broken fence, was a small corner sheltered from the wind. Blankets and cardboard were stacked neatly, and beside them was the familiar bag. Jerome was there, curled up, hugging the bag to his chest. Keanu stepped closer, careful not to startle him. "Jerome," he said softly. Jerome stirred, blinking sleep from his eyes. When he saw Keanu, a look of shock and disbelief crossed his face. "What are you doing here?" Jerome asked, his voice hoarse. "I was worried about you," Keanu said, crouching down. "You shouldn't be sleeping here. It's too cold. Jerome sat up slowly. This is better than the shelters. People steal your stuff there. I can't lose this. He patted the bag protectively. Keanu sat down next to him, ignoring the cold concrete under him. Come with me, he said. Let's get you something warm to eat. We can talk. Jerome looked down at the ground. Why? Why? Do you care so much? You don't owe me anything. Keanu's eyes softened. Maybe that's why. Because too many people think they don't owe each other anything. Maybe it's time we do. Jerome stared at him for a long moment. Then, without a word, he nodded. They found a small diner nearby. It smelled of fresh coffee and warm bread. The owner, a kind old man, didn't even flinch when Keanu walked in with Jerome. Despite the curious looks from some of the other customers, they sat at a corner booth. Keanu ordered them both pancakes and eggs, extra syrup on the side. He watched as Jerome ate slowly at first, then faster, as if he hadn't had a proper meal in days. When the plates were empty, Jerome leaned back, a small smile tugging at his lips. I can't remember the last time I felt this full, he said. Keanu sipped his coffee. Do you have any family nearby? He asked. Jerome's smile faded. No, my parents are gone. I got no siblings. My boy, he's in another state with his mama. She doesn't want me around. Says I'm a failure. Keanu frowned. You're not a failure, Jerome. Jerome let out a bitter laugh. Tell that to her. Tell that to my boy who barely knows me. Keanu's mind raced. He knew he couldn't fix everything. He couldn't bring back Jerome's job, his home, his family. But he could do something. What if we find you a place to stay? He said. Somewhere safe. I can help you look for work. I know people. Jerome looked up sharply. You do that for me. Keanu nodded. You've been fighting this alone for too long. Let someone fight with you now. Jerome's eyes glistened. He wiped at them quickly, trying to hide it. I don't want charity. It's not charity, Keanu said firmly. It's respect. You deserve that. They talked for hours. Jerome told him more about his life, about the warehouse, about the night he had to pack his things and leave his apartment. Every word was like a small piece of a puzzle falling into place. But the more Jerome talked, the more Keanu felt something wasn't right. There were gaps in the story, moments Jerome skipped over quickly. And each time Keanu asked about it, Jerome would change the subject. Jerome, Keanu said carefully. What's really in that bag? Jerome tensed. His hand went to the bag at his side. I told you, my boy's stuff. Is there something else? Keanu pressed. You can trust me. Jerome's eyes darted around the diner. He lowered his voice. I can't tell you. Not here. Keanu leaned in closer. Why? Jerome swallowed hard. Because if people knew, they'd come for me. They'd hurt me. Keanu's stomach tightened. Who would hurt you, Jerome? Jerome didn't answer. Instead, he stood up abruptly. I need to go, he said. Keanu grabbed his arm gently. Jerome, please, talk to me. Jerome shook his head. Not here. Too many eyes. Keanu paid the bill quickly and followed Jerome. Out into the cold morning air. The city felt different now, like it was watching them. Jerome kept looking over his shoulder, his steps quick and uneven. Keanu stayed close. Jerome. Wait, Keanu said as they turned down a quieter street. You can't just run. Let me help. Jerome stopped suddenly. He looked Keanu dead in the eyes, his own wide with fear. You don't know what you're getting into, man. This ain't just about me losing a job. There's things in this city, things you don't want to be part of. Keanu felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold wind. Tell me, Jerome. Hesitated. Then he clutched the bag tighter and whispered, the bag. It's not just my boy's things. There's something else. Something they're looking for. Before Keanu could ask who they were, a car pulled up at the corner. A black sedan, its windows tinted. The driver didn't get out, but the engine idled, low and threatening. Jerome's eyes went wide. They found me, he whispered. Keanu turned to look at the car, his mind racing. He could feel the danger in the air, heavy and sharp. This was bigger than he had imagined. He stepped in front of Jerome protectively. We need to go, Keanu said. Now, as they turned to run, the car door opened slowly. A man in a dark suit stepped out. His eyes locked on Jerome. There was no kindness in that stare, only cold calculation. Keanu grabbed Jerome's arm. Come on. They ran down the street, the sound of footsteps echoing behind them. Keanu's heart pounded in his chest. He didn't know what was in that bag, but he knew one thing. He wasn't going to let Jerome face this alone. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. Keanu and Jerome ran for blocks before they dared to stop. They turned corner after corner, ducked through alleys, and crossed busy streets. Every time Keanu looked over his shoulder, he half expected to see the black sedan crawling after them. But for now, the streets behind them stayed empty. Finally, they found an old park. It was early enough that no one was there except for a few pigeons pecking at the frozen ground. Jerome sank onto a bench, clutching his bag to his chest, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Keanu sat beside him, his own heart racing, but his mind sharper than ever. Who are they, Jerome? Keanu asked quietly. Tell me what's in that bag. Jerome shook his head. His eyes were wide, wild almost. I can't. You don't understand. If they catch me, I'm done. If they find you with me, you'll be in danger too. Keanu leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. Listen to me. You're already in danger. We need to figure this out together. What's in the bag? Jerome's fingers trembled as he opened the bag a little. Inside, Keanu saw the same teddy bear, the same child's drawings, but tucked beneath them was something he hadn't seen before, a thick, brown envelope sealed with tape. The edge was worn, as if Jerome had checked it 100 times. What's that? Keanu asked. Jerome closed the bag quickly. Proof, he whispered. It's proof of what they did. Keanu frowned. Who's they? Your old company. Jerome nodded, but his gaze darted around the empty park as if the trees themselves might be listening. It wasn't just a warehouse. They were hiding stuff, money, bad deals. I found out by accident when I was working late. I tried to tell people. No one believed me. Then I lost my job. I think they made sure of that. Keanu felt a cold, not form in his stomach. What kind of stuff? Jerome ran his hand through his hair. Dirty money, laundering, fake shipments. They used the warehouse as a cover. I didn't know what I was looking at first. I just thought I'd found some old files, but then I saw the bank statements, the names, big people, Keanu. People who'd do anything to keep this quiet. Keanu looked at the bag again, then at Jerome's tired, haunted eyes. He believed him. Why didn't you go to the police? Jerome laughed bitterly. You think they'd listen to me? A broke warehouse worker with no family, no power. I tried. One cop told me to get lost before I got myself hurt. Another told me they'd look into it. Next day, two guys jumped me behind a bar and told me to shut my mouth. So I ran. Keanu sat back, trying to piece it all together. He thought about the black sedan, the man in the suit, the way Jerome had been living like a ghost in his own city. You're saying they've been after you ever since? Jerome nodded. They want the envelope. That's the only thing keeping me alive. They won't kill me if they think I might have hidden copies. Keanu rubbed his temples. Do you? Jerome gave a weak smile. I'm not that smart. This is it. They sat there in silence, the cold wind cutting through their coats. Keanu's mind raced. This wasn't just about helping a homeless man anymore. This was something bigger. Something that could destroy powerful people if the truth got out. Jerome, Keanu said firmly, we can't just keep running. You need to tell someone who can actually do something. Jerome let out a humorless laugh. Like who? I know a reporter, Keanu said after a moment. She's honest, stubborn. She doesn't back down. If we show her what's in that envelope, she can get it out there. Once the story's public, they can't silence you. Jerome looked at him, hope flickering in his eyes. You'd really do that? Help me tell the truth. Keanu reached out, placed a hand on Jerome's shoulder. I promised you last night you wouldn't be alone anymore. I meant it. Jerome stared at the ground, his shoulders trembling. Then he nodded, just once, okay. But we gotta be careful. They'll be watching every move. Keanu's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out. A message from his driver asked where he was. He was late for a meeting, but he knew he couldn't go back to his normal day. He texted back to cancel. Come on, he said to Jerome. We can't stay out here. We'll go to a hotel. somewhere they won't expect. Jerome clutched his bag tighter. What if they find us? They won't, Keanu said, his voice steady. Not this time. They stood up and walked quickly through the park. Keanu called for a car, giving a fake name when he booked it. He could feel Jerome's fear growing with every step. They reached a side street, waited in the shadows. The car pulled up. A simple yellow cab, nothing fancy. Where to? The driver asked. Keanu gave him the name of a small hotel on the edge of the city, a place he'd stayed once when he needed to disappear for a few days. The cab pulled away from the curb, the city streets flashing by in a blur. Jerome kept glancing. Behind them, fingers digging into his bag. Do you think they'll follow? Jerome asked. Keanu looked at him. If they do, they'll have to get through me first. Jerome gave a weak smile. I don't want you hurt, Keanu. We're in this together now, Keanu said. They reached the hotel and checked in under. Fake names. The room was small but warm, with a creaky bed and an old TV. Jerome sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the envelope as if it were a bomb about to go off. Rest for a bit, Keanu said. I'll call my friend. We'll meet her tonight. Jerome nodded but didn't lie down. He just held the bag close, his eyes never leaving it. Keanu stepped into the bathroom and closed the door behind him. He pulled out his phone, found the number he hadn't called in years, Nina Chen, an investigative reporter who had once helped him expose a corrupt producer in Hollywood. She had a reputation for getting the truth, no matter the cost. He called her. When she picked up, her voice was the same, calm but sharp as a blade. Keanu, this is a surprise. You okay? I need your help, he said. It's big, Nina. Bigger than anything I've ever dealt with. How big? A man's life is on the line. Maybe mine too. There was a pause. Then Nina said, Where do you want to meet? Keanu told her the hotel's address, but asked her to park 2 blocks away. Bring a recorder. And your best instincts. When he hung up, he looked at himself. In the mirror, he could see the worry etched in his own eyes. He knew this wasn't over. If they wanted to do this, they had to be smart. They had to be fast. Back in the room, Jerome sat hunched over, his body stiff. Keanu sat beside him. We'll meet her tonight, Keanu said. Just hold on a little longer. Jerome looked at him, eyes glassy. I don't deserve this kindness. Yes, you do, Keanu said softly. Everyone does. Outside, the wind howled against the window. Neither of them knew that somewhere nearby, a black sedan was crawling through the streets, its driver scanning every hotel and alley, searching for a man with a bag full of dangerous truth. The storm was just beginning. The sun dipped low behind the city buildings, turning the sky a soft orange. Inside the small hotel room, Keanu and Jerome sat side by side, waiting. Every tick of the old clock on the wall felt like it was pressing down on their shoulders. Jerome kept glancing at the window, his fingers tapping the bag on his lap. Keanu could feel the tension humming in the room like a storm ready to break. Are you sure she can be trusted? Jerome asked, his voice low. Keanu nodded. Nina's the best. She doesn't back down. If there's a way to get this truth out, she'll find it. Jerome looked away. What if she's like the others? What if she sells me out? Keanu reached over, rested a hand on Jerome's arm. She won't. I promise you that. They didn't speak much after that. They both listened for every sound in the hallway, every car door outside. When a soft knock finally came at the door, Jerome stiffened, clutching the bag so tight it looked like his knuckles might break. It's her, Keanu said. He stood, took a deep breath, and opened the door. Nina stepped inside quickly. She wore a dark coat and a wool hat pulled low over her black hair. Her eyes were sharp behind her glasses, scanning the room in seconds. She didn't smile, but there was a warmth in her voice when she spoke. Keanu, she said, nodding once, then turned her gaze to Jerome. You must be Jerome. Jerome said nothing. He just nodded, eyes darting between her and the door. Nina closed the door behind her, locked it, then pulled a small recorder and a notepad from her bag. She sat on the edge of the small table under the lamp, her eyes never leaving Jerome. I need you to tell me everything, she said. Start from the beginning. Don't leave anything out. Jerome's hands shook as he unzipped the bag. He pulled out the old envelope, placed it carefully on the table. Nina leaned forward, her eyes widening just a little as she saw the thick stack of papers inside. "What's in there?" she asked. Jerome licked his dry lips. "Records, payments, fake contracts, shipments that never existed. They used my warehouse. Job to move dirty money. I found this when I stayed late one night. I didn't even know what I was looking at. Then I realized my name was on some of the papers, like I signed them. But I didn't. They forged it." Nina flipped through a few pages. Her brows drew together. "This is big," she murmured. "If this is real, it could put a lot of people in jail." Jerome's eyes filled with tears. "I tried to show it before. No one listened. They just made my life hell. They took everything." Nina looked up sharply. "Who's they? Give me names." Jerome hesitated. His voice dropped to a whisper. "There's a man named Dalton. He runs a group that launders the money through fake companies. Some of them are connected to city officials. A cop named Reese. He's on their payroll. That's why I couldn't go to the police." Keanu clenched his fists. He knew Jerome wasn't making this up. He could feel the truth in every word. Nina kept flipping pages, snapping photos of each one with her phone. "Okay," Nina said finally. "This is enough to start. But I need more. I need a statement from you. I need you on record." Jerome looked down. "If I do this, they'll kill me." Nina nodded. "Yes, they'll try. But once this goes out, they can't silence everyone. If they hurt you, they draw more attention. That's how you stay alive. You stay visible." Keanu leaned closer to Jerome. "She's right. You can't hide anymore. We do this together." Jerome's eyes flickered with fear and hope all at once. He nodded slowly. "Okay, do it." Nina clicked on the recorder. Jerome started to talk. He spoke for almost an hour. He told her about the night he found the files, the threats, the beating behind the bar, the nights he spent sleeping under bridges to keep moving. He spoke about his son, how the only thing he could hold on to was the hope that one day, if he survived, his boy would know he fought for the truth. Nina never interrupted. She just listened, asked questions when she needed more detail. Keanu sat beside Jerome the whole time, his hand resting on Jerome's back, steady and warm. When it was done, Jerome looked like he'd run a marathon, his shoulders slumped, eyes glassy. Nina turned off the recorder and slipped it back into her bag. "I'll get this out tonight," she said. "Once it's public, they can't bury it." Keanu felt a spark of relief. "What do we do now?" Nina stood up. "Lay low. Don't go outside if you don't have to. I'll come back when it's safe. They'll come for you first, Keanu. They'll think you're the easy link." Keanu's jaw tightened. "Let them try." Nina gave him a small smile. "Be careful, both of you." She slipped out the door. As quietly as she had come, the room fell silent again. Jerome let out a long, shaky breath. "It's out now," Jerome whispered. "No going back. No going back," Keanu agreed. They tried to sleep after that, but sleep didn't come. "Easy." Jerome kept waking up every few minutes, checking the bag, staring at the door. Keanu sat by the window, peeking through the curtain every time a car passed. Hours later, just before dawn, a noise jolted Jerome awake, a soft thud outside the window. Keanu turned sharply, eyes narrowed. They both froze, listening. Another thud. Then a shadow moved outside, just under the streetlight. Someone was there. Keanu motioned for Jerome to stay put. He crept to the window, lifted the curtain an inch. A man in a dark hoodie stood by a black car, talking on his phone. Another figure waited near the hotel entrance. Keanu could feel the threat like a wave of ice washing over him. "They found us," Jerome hissed. He clutched the bag to his chest. Like a lifeline. Keanu's single quotes' mind raced. "We can't stay here. Pack your things." "Where will we go?" Jerome asked, voice trembling. "Somewhere they won't look," Keanu said. "But first, we need a way out." He grabbed his phone, sent a message to Nina. "They found us. Need new plan. Call ASAP." He turned to Jerome, his eyes steady. "Listen to me, Jerome. No matter what happens, you hold on to that bag. Do not let it go." Jerome nodded, his face pale, but his grip strong. Outside, a car door slammed shut. Footsteps. Echoed in the hallway. Someone knocked once, twice, too polite, too calm for this hour. Keanu stepped between Jerome and the door, his heart pounding. Whoever was on the other side wasn't here to talk. They were here to finish what they'd started. And for the first time in a long time, Keanu felt the weight of every choice he'd ever made. He knew one thing for certain: he would stand his ground. For Jerome, for the truth, for the hope that maybe, just maybe, this broken world could still be fixed if enough people cared. The knock came again, harder this time. Keanu clenched his fists. Double quote, "Stay behind me," he said. And he knew the real fight was just beginning. The knock on the hotel door came again, this time louder, more impatient. Jerome's breath hitched in his throat as he clutched the bag to his chest, so tight it looked like he might crush it. Keanu moved slowly to the side of the door, pressing his back against the wall, listening for every small sound. The hallway was silent now, too silent. "Stay behind me," Keanu whispered, his voice calm but strong. Jerome nodded, backing up until his legs hit the side of the bed. His eyes darted between Keanu and the door, terror written all over his face. Whoever was outside knocked one more time. Then a voice called out, soft, friendly, like a snake hiding in tall grass. "Housekeeping." Keanu didn't move. He knew better. It was almost dawn. Housekeeping didn't come knocking with heavy boots and deep voices. Jerome's knuckles turned white as he clutched the bag tighter. Then came the sound of metal, something sliding into the door lock. Keanu felt his chest tighten. They were picking it. They weren't here to knock. They were here to end this. He scanned the room quickly. A lamp, a chair, not much to fight with. But he would. He'd faced darker nights in his life. But this was different. He wasn't fighting for himself now. He was fighting for a man who had already lost everything. He was fighting for a child who deserved to know his father was not just another man crushed by a broken system. The lock clicked. The door swung open an inch. Keanu moved fast. He grabbed the back of the old chair and wedged it under the handle, slamming it shut again. The man on the other side cursed and shoved against it. Jerome flinched but stayed back, just like Keanu told him. "Bathroom," Keanu shouted. "Get in the bathroom. Lock the door. Don't come out no matter what." Jerome didn't argue. He stumbled into the tiny bathroom, slammed the door, and twisted the lock. Keanu could hear him whispering to himself inside. Prayers, maybe, or just words to keep himself from breaking. The door shuddered as someone rammed it hard. The chair cracked but held. Keanu scanned the room again. He needed time. He needed a plan. His phone buzzed on the table. Nina. He snatched it up, answering in a hushed voice. "Nina." "Keanu." Her voice was urgent, sharp. "I saw the NG. The story's out. I leaked it to 3 big outlets. They're already sharing the files. It's too late for them to bury it now." Keanu's heart surged with relief, but the pounding at the door snapped him back to the danger still on the other side. "They're here, Nina." 2 guys at the door. "You need to get out. They're desperate now. They'll do anything to shut Jerome up before the public knows his face. We can't run through them. They'll hurt him." Nina was quiet for a second. Then her voice turned cold, fierce. "Give me 5 minutes. I know someone nearby, an old contact, former military. He owes me a favor. Stay alive for 5 minutes. Keanu." The line went dead. Keanu slipped the phone in his pocket, bracing his back against the door as another hit rattled the hinges. His shoulders burned, but he didn't move. "Come on," he muttered under his breath. "Come on." The door cracked open an inch, just enough for a rough hand to push through. Keanu grabbed a glass bottle off the table and smashed it down hard. The hand yanked back, blood splattering the peeling paint. Another curse, another shove. The door gave another inch. Keanu felt sweat drip down his neck. He knew he couldn't hold them forever. He looked at the bathroom door. Jerome was still inside. Good. That's what mattered. Outside, tires screeched. A deep voice barked orders. Not the same ones trying to break in. Another shout. Footsteps pounded down the hallway. The pressure on the door vanished. Keanu listened, heart thundering in his ears. Muffled grunts. A crash, a sharp cry of pain. Then silence. He waited. The hallway stayed quiet. Then came a heavy knock, this time on the window by the fire escape. Keanu peered out through the grimy curtain. A man stood there, tall, broad shoulders, a dark cap pulled low over his eyes. He held up an old police badge, but Keanu could tell by the way he stood he wasn't any normal cop. The man pressed his face to the glass. "You Keanu?" Keanu nodded warily. "Nina sent me. You got about 2 minutes before more of them come. Get your friend. Come on." Keanu didn't think twice. He pulled the bathroom door open. Jerome stumbled out, eyes wide. "Who is that?" he asked. "Help," Keanu said simply. "Come on." They climbed out the window onto the icy metal. Fire escape. The man led them down 3 floors, moving like he'd done this 1,000 times. They hit the street. A battered old truck waited by the curb. The man shoved them inside, jumped behind the wheel, and took off, tires squealing. "Name's Sam," the man said without looking back. "Nina called in her last favor with me for this. You two must be important." Keanu clutched the dashboard as they sped through side streets, avoiding main roads. "Where are we going?" "Safe house," Sam said. "Out of the city. Nobody knows it but me." Jerome hugged the bag to his chest, rocking slightly. "We're dead men, aren't we?" Keanu shook his head. "No, the story's out. Nina did it. They can't bury it now. Doesn't mean they won't try." Sam grunted. "These guys, they got no rules left. You're the symbol now. They take you out. They scare others from talking." Keanu stared out the window at the dark streets flying past. He knew Sam was right, but he also knew this was the moment that would define them. Not the bag, not the secrets, but how they faced the danger when it finally stood right at their door. They drove for an hour, leaving the city lights behind. The safe house was an old cabin near a frozen lake. Sam parked the truck behind it, hidden from the road. Inside, the cabin smelled of old wood and dust. Jerome sank into a worn-out chair by the fireplace, still hugging the bag. His eyes were wide, exhausted, but there was something else there too, a flicker of relief. "We made it," he whispered. Keanu knelt in front of him. "The world knows now. Your boy will know his father fought back. You didn't give up." Jerome's eyes filled with tears, but he laughed, too, a broken, soft laugh. "Maybe now I can sleep." Keanu sat beside him, his own shoulders heavy with everything they'd been through. Sam stood guard by the window, his sharp eyes scanning the dark tree line for headlights that never came. Outside, dawn was breaking. The first light touched the snow by the lake, and for a moment, the world looked clean again, like it could be forgiven. Keanu closed his eyes, letting himself believe that maybe they'd won. But deep down, he knew it wasn't over yet. The truth was out there, yes, but the people who wanted to bury it, they wouldn't stop so easily. Jerome leaned his head on Keanu's shoulder, his breath slowing as sleep finally pulled him under. Keanu didn't move. He stayed there, staring out the window, ready to stand guard for as long as it took. He knew the fight was far from done, and when the next knock came, he would be ready. The safe house felt like it was holding its breath. The snow outside the cabin fell softly now, covering the truck tracks that had brought Keanu. Jerome and Sam here, inside. Jerome slept for the first time in days. His bag rested on the table, unopened but safe. It looked small, almost harmless. Now, but Keanu knew the weight it carried could change everything. Keanu sat by the window, watching the trees. Sam leaned against the door, arms crossed, his eyes always moving. The man barely spoke, but Keanu felt safer just knowing he was there. In the quiet, Keanu's thoughts drifted. He thought of every time he'd walked past someone like Jerome, someone with tired eyes and a bag clutched to their chest, trying to hold on to pieces of a life they'd lost. He wondered how many truths were buried in bags like that, forgotten by the world. He felt his phone buzz in his pocket. He pulled it out carefully so he wouldn't wake Jerome. It was a message from Nina. The story's everywhere now. National news. It's trending. Your name is all over it too. People want to know why you helped him. Keanu let out a small, breathless laugh. "Because I had to," he texted back. "Because someone should." Nina replied almost instantly. "They're not happy. Police have orders to protect both of you. But there are rumors some people might still come after you." Watch your back. Keanu looked at Jerome sleeping peacefully, head resting against the arm of the old chair. I will, he wrote back. Stay in touch. He slipped the phone away. He could feel the fight still out there. The men in black cars, the ones in expensive suits behind closed doors, making calls, pulling strings, hoping this storm would blow over. But Keanu knew it wouldn't. The world had seen the proof. People were talking about it. The truth was out there now, too big for any one person to bury. Jerome stirred, mumbling in his sleep. He woke slowly, blinking at the cabin walls like he didn't believe he was really safe. He looked at Keanu, eyes heavy with questions. Is it done? Jerome asked, his voice a whisper. Keanu nodded. People know the truth now. Nina said the story's everywhere. They can't silence you anymore. Jerome looked at the bag on the table, his fingers flexed, but he didn't reach for it this time. It doesn't bring back what I lost, he said quietly. No. Keanu agreed, but it means you didn't. Let them win. Jerome's eyes filled with tears he didn't try to hide. Do you think my boy will understand someday? Keanu reached across the table, laid his hand gently over Jerome's. He will know his father was brave. He'll know you didn't run, that you fought for something bigger than yourself. Jerome breathed out slowly, like a weight was leaving him. For the first time, his shoulders relaxed. The fear that had clung to him like a shadow seemed to loosen its grip. Sam cleared his throat, nodding to the window. We got company. Keanu stood up fast, but Sam held out a hand. Not bad company. Look, outside. Two police cars pulled up near the cabin. Their lights were off, no sirens, no noise. Two officers stepped out. They looked normal. No suits, no black cars, no dark hoodies, just regular people doing their job. They knocked on the door gently. Nothing like the banging from before. Sam opened it just enough to peek through. After a short word, he stepped aside. The taller officer, a woman with tired eyes but a calm face, stepped inside. KeanuReeves, she asked. Her voice was careful, respectful. Keanu nodded. I'm Detective Marisol, she said. We're here to take Jerome into protective custody. The city's prosecutor wants to meet him in the morning. He'll be safe. Jerome flinched at the word custody, but Marisol knelt beside him. This isn't jail, Jerome. This is protection. We know who's been after you. We're arresting people tonight. Your statement is going to help bring down more of them. You're the reason we have a chance. Jerome's mouth trembled. Will they really keep me safe? Yes. Marisol said softly. Your name is out there now. The world is watching. They can't touch you anymore. Jerome turned to Keanu, eyes full of tears. You did this for me. He whispered. Keanu shook his head. You did it. I just sat beside you when it got too heavy. Jerome stood up slowly. He picked up his bag, held it tight one last time. Then he opened it. He pulled out the teddy bear, the one his son used to hold. He handed it to Keanu. Hold this for me, Jerome said. Just until I can give it to him myself. Keanu took the small bear in his big hands. It felt soft, warm, like a piece of hope that had survived the worst nights. Marisol nodded to her partner, and they led Jerome outside. He looked back once. His eyes met Keanu's through the falling snow. He mouthed a single word. Thank you. Then he was gone, safe between the two officers. Stepping into a future he never thought he'd see. Keanu stood at the cabin door for a long time. Sam came up beside him, clapped a heavy hand on his shoulder. You did good, movie star. Sam said with a small grin. Most people would have walked past him. Keanu looked at the teddy bear in his hand. No one deserves to be invisible. Sam nodded. Amen to that. Outside, the sky turned pink with the first light of morning. The dark night was over. The danger hadn't disappeared completely. It never does, but something bigger had taken its place. The truth, the proof, the chance that maybe next time, someone like Jerome wouldn't have to fight alone. Keanu stepped outside into the cold, letting the snow touch his face. He knew people would ask him why he did it, why he risked his name, his safety. He already knew the answer. Because someone had to, and maybe, just maybe, one small act of sitting down beside a man clutching a bag in tears could remind the world what it means to care when no one else will. He looked at the bear one more time, then smiled. "Let's go home," he whispered.